Sir Isaac Newton, one of the smartest people that ever lived, was actually a dumb investor. Shocking, I know, but here's why. Despite having invented calculus, he made a mistake so simple it cost him a fortune. In the spring of 1720, he didn't lose his money to a thief, and he didn't lose it to a fire. He lost it to a bubble. In less than 12 months, the greatest mine in history lost 20,000 pounds, nearly $4 million in today's money. He could calculate the motion of heavenly bodies, but he could not calculate the madness of men. And if the father of physics couldn't spot a financial trap, what chance do you have? To understand the trap, you have to meet the hunter. In 1711, the British Empire was broke. The government was drowning in war debt it couldn't repay. Enter John Blunt. He wasn't a general or a duke, he was a scrivener, a man who wrote contracts for a living. He ran a company with a piratical name, the Sword Blade Bank. Blunt looked at the government's debt and saw an opportunity. He approached the treasury with a proposal that was financial alchemy. He said, "You owe the people money. You can't pay them. But what if you didn't have to?" He created a new corporation, the South Sea Company. He engineered a debt for equity swap. The government allowed debt holders to trade their guaranteed government IOUs for shares in this new exciting company. It was a masterstroke. The government got to delete its debt, the soldiers got stock that might go up, and Blunt got to control the biggest pot of money in England. But a company needs a business model. Blunt promised his investors a monopoly on trade with South America. He promised ships laden with Aztec gold. It was a lie. South America was owned by Spain, and Britain was at war with Spain. The trade didn't exist. The only thing the South Sea Company actually sold was its own stock. By 1720, the scheme needed fresh capital to survive. Blunt needed the stock price to go up. He needed a mania. He focused his efforts on Exchange Alley, a narrow, muddy labyrinth of London streets. This was the physical internet of the 18th century. At the center of it was Jonathan's coffee house. This wasn't a cafe, it was a boiler room. Dukes rubbed shoulders with chimney sweeps. Information traveled at the speed of a whisper. Blunt's agents flooded the alley with fake news. They claimed treaties were signed. They claimed ships were docking. The hype worked. The stock moved from 100 pounds to 200 pounds, then 300 pounds. The FOMO, fear of missing out, began to infect the city. This was where Newton stepped onto the stage. It was early 1720. Newton was the master of the Royal Mint. He understood money better than anyone in the room. He analyzed the South Sea Company. He did the math. He saw zero trade and zero revenue. He knew it was a bubble. So he did the rational thing. He sold. In the spring of 1720, Newton exited the market. He pocketed a profit of 7,000 pounds, doubling his money. He walked away. He was safe. He should have stopped there. But the market has a way of mocking rationality. The stock didn't stop. It hit 500 pounds, then 700 pounds. Newton watched from the sidelines as people with half his IQ made 10 times his money. The envy of fools began to gnaw at him. He convinced himself that he was the one who was wrong. He decided that this was a new paradigm where the old rules of value didn't apply. In the summer of 1720, right at the peak of the mania, the world's smartest man broke. He took his 7,000 pounds profit, he emptied his savings, he re-entered the market at 1,000 pounds a share. Gravity is unforgiving. You can fight it for a while, but eventually mass must return to Earth. In August, the insiders quietly sold out. They knew the company was hollow. They knew the ships weren't coming. The crash was vertical. Panic swept through Exchange Alley. The coffee houses turned into riot zones. Banks failed. In 4 weeks, the stock lost 80% of its value. Newton rode it all the way down. He was paralyzed by the shock. By December, the stock was back to 100 pounds. He had lost his initial profit. He had lost his principal. He lost 20,000 pounds, a life-changing fortune vaporized in 90 days. The crash nearly destroyed the British economy. The government had to orchestrate a massive bailout to prevent a revolution. But the damage to Newton was permanent. He famously forbade anyone from speaking the words South Sea in his presence until the day he died. He had conquered the laws of the universe, but he was conquered by his own human nature. And that is the lesson. The South Sea bubble wasn't an anomaly. It was the prototype. Whether it's 1720, the dot-com crash, or the current AI hype cycle, the mechanism changes, but the psychology never does. We all think we are smart enough to time the top. We all think we are different. But if the man who invented calculus couldn't beat the market, you probably won't either. The only way to survive a bubble is to understand the physics of the machine before you step inside. That is why we built this channel. We study the history of financial madness so you don't have to become a part of it. If you want to see the blueprints of the global economy, make sure you are subscribed. See you next time.